Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope that you are doing so very well. Today I am here with my February wrap-up. 2 wrap-ups, 2 months in a row. Who is she? We don't know. This is a new time in Maureen's life. I'm trucking along on editing my MK and USA videos, trying to get those done, trying to get those out. By the time this is posted, my Arkansas should be out. Watch it if you haven't yet. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about the books that I read in February. First up is Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. I read this for a project that I'm working on and it's just as good as the first time I read it. I got just as angry. This is the first book that I've ever thrown against the wall in anger when I first read it, and they said the big reveal of this. I feel like everybody knows at this point, but just in case, I'm not gonna spoil, but you know the big thing that happens in this book. I was so mad. I was reading late at night and I literally threw my book at the wall because I was so angry. And that passion has just continued on. I've reread this book several times, so I loved reading the conflict over and over again and seeing everything go down from Katniss's perspective. And again, I was just struck by how smart the writing is and how Suzanne Collins planned everything out. Chef kiss, so good. I also rewatched the movie. Again, so great. These books, these movies hold up. They're so good. And I'm continuing to love the series. I haven't gotten to Mockingjay yet, but I will soon. Very excited to get there. But that's all you really need to know. I still love Catching Fire. It's still a great book. We'll see if it's still my favorite in the trilogy. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Next up, I read Pride by E.B. Zaboy. This is an arc, but this book is already out in the world. I am very bad at reading arcs, so I decided to read some for Black History Month. I kind of was participating in Blackathon, but I don't know that I really hit all the challenges. But I really wanted to read a couple of these books by Black authors that were on my TBR, that are on my arc list, so I can read them and then buy finished copies if I like them. Pride is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, but it takes place in Brooklyn, specifically in Bushwick, and features an Afro-Latinx lead and another Black family that moves in that's rich, and all of the beats of Pride and Prejudice, but told in that setting and with teenagers. Whenever I first heard about this, I was like, this sounds up my alley. It sounds great. I actually listened to the audiobook on my way to Nashville. The audiobook was actually narrated by Elizabeth Acevedo, which I did not realize until I finished it. Like, obviously they said at the beginning, but I think I just wasn't paying attention. And then she said her name at the end and I was like, wait. If you don't know, she is the author of The Poet X. But she did such a great job narrating this. It really put you in the story. I really loved following Zuri, and you really get put into her world and know what her neighborhood is like, because that's where really everything takes place. You understand the ins and outs. There's that love-hate Darcy tension as you expect from Pride and Prejudice. I felt like the author really put you in the world, and I could picture really everything that was happening. I could see different settings, especially the different houses that the families live in that you have different scenes take place in. I felt like I could really picture every detail, and I also just love the story of Pride and Prejudice. I think it was fantastically done. I really enjoyed it. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Next up is Slay by Brittany Morris. This is another book that I have an arc of that I never read because I'm the worst, and I listened to it on audio while I was traveling between Atlanta and Nashville and just driving all around. This is about a girl named Kira who has created a game called Slay that is a VR game specifically for Black people. It is a space where they can come and be themselves. Nobody in her life knows that she plays or created this game at all, and then a kid is killed over something that happens in the game, and then everybody is talking about her game and saying that it's racist because it's only for Black people, and she is determined to make sure that the game stays, that nothing happens to it, that she doesn't get sued, and the book is really all about that story. I really enjoyed this book. I really liked Kira's character. She's so smart and driven and so good at what she does. I could never create a VR game. I could literally never. No. I felt like this book really does a good job of showcasing white people who mean well and ask questions like, you know, you're my Black friend. I want to ask you and get your opinion on it, and how taxing that is on Black people when their white friends try to use them as Google instead of just like looking things up themselves, asking their opinions on everything, which I know I am definitely guilty of. I really liked her relationship with her family and just different points that were brought up, and I don't think that a lot of the things in this book were for me necessarily, but I appreciated reading them and learning more. Not that every book is meant to teach you something, and especially this book is not meant to teach white people things, but I feel like you can still learn from it. It's very smart, very well done. I love reading about video games and books, and I would read about them forever. And especially how Brittany Morris does it. It's so interesting and engaging. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. Next up, I read Where the Forest Meets the Trees by Glendy Vanderaw, which I read for my book club. This is a book about Jo, who is a scientist and she's researching, and this girl just turns up on her doorstep. She doesn't know where she's from and she says she's an alien. And Ursa, the girl, really just uproots what she thought her life was. This book was fine. It wasn't really great. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know that I would really even recommend this book. Like, it's fine, but it's nothing worth your time. That sounds really harsh, but it's true. We read it for book club and we talked about it and we were just like, eh. I feel like I don't even want to waste my time talking about what the plot was or what I liked and didn't like. Gave this book a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Next up, I read Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. This is a book about Will. His older brother has been shot and killed, and there's rules that everybody in his neighborhood follows, and one of them is revenge, so he's determined to get revenge for his brother, and he gets on an elevator, and it's kind of like a Christmas Carol kind of thing where different dead people come and visit him and talk to him about the choice that he's making and how he's gonna go kill this person. It's all told in verse. Look at this, look at that. I listened to this on audiobook as well, and Jason narrated that, which I enjoyed. I really liked his narration. He knows how he wants things to be read and how it needs to come across, but I really think that I would have preferred just like reading the book because there's so much storytelling just in how he chose to lay things out on pages. In the audiobook, there was an interview with him and he talks a lot about the style of verse and how everything is thin and long like this because they're in an elevator, which I thought was really interesting, and I felt like I learned a lot from that specific interview. But if you're gonna read this, I would suggest picking up the physical copy, specifically the book, not like the ebook, but the book, so nothing gets lost and so you can see all the things as they were meant to be seen. As for content, this is a really dark but also powerful story. It's really about the choices we make that we think are right or are wrong and how things cannot be what they seem. I feel like I don't want to go too much into the plot and different things that are discussed. I would say trigger warning for violence for sure. There is a bit of talk about drugs, so just want you to know that. It's just a very well told story in an interesting format that works very well. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And that's it. Those are the books that I read in February. As you can see, I'm trying to read more of my arcs that I have been failing at reading. So much failing, so much failing. I'm going to try to read arcs that I'm actually getting from the publisher on time and talk about those to you before they come out, hopefully. At least on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I'm going to try to talk about more stuff there. I don't know if that's like a good plug, but it is what it is. Let me know down below what your favorite book you've read so far this year is. I would love to know and add more things to my list, even though I have a ginormous TBR. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye. I cannot talk, I cannot speak.